Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Don Joe number LP-207-EBF in a BP finish. This is a latch guard is what it is. This is a relatively typical latch guard in the sense that it functions as a piece of hardware, auxiliary hardware, so as to help restrict the manipulation of the latch on an outswing door. It's a little uncommon in the sense that it has a small radius here, so that's going to be for a petite rose. You know, a rose that's going to be on the smaller side. It's probably not really going to be something appropriate for use with, you know, your 3 9/16 diameter grade 1 lever rose sets, or your knob trim, you know, that have giant meteor, you know, Schlag's old meteor size roses that used to exist. This has a smaller sort of prep and would be appropriate for those locks with smaller roses. Schlage has a grade 2 tubular lock, their S series. I'm thinking of a small rose like that. Something in that range is what I would expect. This is also somewhat special in terms of its mounting package, and we're going to get to that in a moment. So the LP, that's going to stand for latch protector. The 207 is really a reference in general to their size, to the size of this item. This is going to be, it's going to be best seen at the link below this video to the document called Template. And that document is going to show us that it is indeed a 7-inch, and I'm going to say that that's going to be buried in that part number, the 7 version. The width, however, is 2 13/16. Yeah, right on, pretty much. This is going to obviously have a recessed area out in the back side of this, and that's going to be for the lip of your strike to enter into. Okay, so from your perspective, you're looking at a right-hand reverse door. That door is going to swing out this way. Well, when the door closes, a couple of things need to happen. I need to account for the fact that my door is going to be inset into the frame itself. When you're standing on the pull side of any door, you can study the inset or the lack of inset. Hollow metal doors and frames, which is probably where this is going to be used. Or maybe a steel, maybe a residential, probably not residential at all. Probably a steel door and a steel frame. You're going to have, or it could be an interior office suite. I've been in office buildings where steel frames with wood doors, yeah, they put latch guards on those office doors. Not monitored after hours, probably easy to manipulate into an opening. Although outswing would be atypical, but you can certainly see them. I've seen dental offices that have obviously multiple, you know, means of egress, and you'll have an outswinging door. Well, they don't want people coming in from that access, the exit discharge area, which would be from the point of on the outside of your door to the public way. That area of the parts of an emergency egress path. Your exit access, your exit access up to the door, your door itself, your exit, then your exit discharge. That discharge part of the cycle, you'd want to protect that. Possibly, you're going to see an exit device there, maybe a need for a small little trim. Obviously, if it's an exit device, you're not going to require a strike hanging off unless it's a mortise device. But in your right-hand reverse application, the strike lip needs to go in, but then also that inset is what I got sidetracked. If you stand on the pull side of a door and you run your hand over the face of the door and the jamb, the door is most likely inset slightly, like 3/32 of an inch, not very much. It could also be flush, and if it's flush, I would argue that this may not be the right option for you because of that giddy-up that's there. Okay? That amount of offset. And we can kind of gauge that on the camera here. If I stick that in there and then we can kind of eyeball it, you can see that you're going to have an inset of about 3/16 of an inch, which would kind of make sense. You're going to want a little play to account for a misalignment of the door, even thermal bow on a door. So if your inset is 3/32, this is almost double what you would need, but you need a little bit of room, and it would not even be 1/8 of an inch. So it'll give you that ability to have offset. It'll give you the ability of the strike lip to reside within the space so that you're not taking a strike and cutting the lip down altogether to make that flat. This has, I'm going to guess that these are 3/8 carriage bolts. Definitely a carriage bolt is what that is. A round head with the square profile underneath. They don't tell us that they're 3/8, but my eye tells me that they're 3/8. This is an EBF LP latch protector 207. The shape, the size, the whole 9 yards. If I haven't already said it, this is 1 and I think 1/8 of an inch radius on this prep. 1 1/8 radius, so be mindful of that. Let's put the tape measure back on the back side of this. You can see from the hard end to where you're going to need to mount that onto the face of the door, you're going to really be at about 1.25 inches. Then you're going to come all the way over from where you'll likely mount it on the door out to about 1 5/8 inches. So you're going to want to make sure that you've got room on the frame to accommodate all of this. So when this plate closes, your jamb has to be wide enough for the plate to sit down onto. I have also seen residential applications where they've made substantial modification to the jamb or to the brick mold or the casing, whatever it is, or the stucco that's been returned or the vinyl siding that's been brought up to accommodate a plate like this. But this is an EBF, so you're going to get that carriage bolt from the outside. You won't be able to attack anything, but it has, rather than an acorn nut, this really shallow bolt head that's here. The EBF fastener basically means this. This is certainly going to be a steel door and steel frame application. That carriage bolt's going to sit in there. You're not going to attack that at all. Suppose you can attack it. Not much to attack. The EBF is going to go through the door, and this is meant for 1 3/4 inch thick door. Out to show you the 1 3/4 inch. Okay, so that's certainly going to tighten down for 1 3/4 inch. That's going to give you a Allen head. I'm going to guess 3/16. Now, why is it an EBF? What makes it an EBF? That head thickness is really, really small, really thin. Maybe it's about 100 thousandths as well. Perhaps a little bit closer to 1/8 of an inch. Let's get the caliper out and take a look. 0.118. 0.118. So why would you need an EBF? Well, the other option, non-EBF, is going to give you an acorn nut. In your mind's eye, imagine that you have this installed onto your door. This is going to go through the door. You'll notice how potentially close this center line of the bolt is going to be to where the frame's going to lie. Okay? So your frame is going to really come in right about here, right? Well, you don't have much distance to the center line or to the beginning of that bolt. And believe me, we're driving at a point, 5/8 of an inch or so. Well, to the head of that bolt, it's probably going to be closer to 7/16. Hollow metal frame, it's got 5/8 projection stops. When that door closes, the head of your acorn nut's going to hit the face of the stop. Door's not going to close. An EBF is going to reside in that space from when the door is closed between the face of the door and the face of the stop. So be mindful. People don't often order EBF fasteners, maybe 5% of the time at most. If I was doing hollow metal doors and frames, I would order EBF fasteners and leave it at that. Why? Well, not only do you assure yourself of not running afoul of conflict with the face of the stop, but an acorn nut's a bit unsightly. A big, giant 3/8 of an inch acorn nut, well, then there's a flat washer underneath it. I'm thinking that doesn't look really nice. So EBF would be the way to go. Now, this item is available in different finishes, and I want to tell you what those finishes are right now. Stand by. I'm pulling it up on a screen here. Obviously, BP, that means brass plated. It's made of steel. Brass plated. They're all actually made of steel. You can do it in BP, brass plated. You can do it in a chrome plated, which would be like a unichrome, shiny, kind of scratchy chrome. DU for dark bronze or a Duranodic, dark brown powder coat. You can do it in a silver powder coat as well. Okay, so kind of shiny chrome, kind of shiny brass, dark bronze, and then a silver painted, which would match your chromes and your aluminum finish. They do indicate that a pin is welded onto the back of this LP207. This does not feature a pin, an anti-spread pin, which would be on the frame side. Let's pull up the link to the product catalog that is down below and take a look more closely to see what the story is. And in that product catalog, by the way, right on page 1 or 2, you'll see a definition of EBF, probably page 2. LP207. Yeah, that's a typo. By the time you see this video, I'll have that anti-spread pin language removed. The link to the product catalog will allow you to review all of the latch guards from Danjo. If you know the name Danjo at all, you know it for latch guards or their U-shaped door wraparound reinforcing plates. Anti-spread pins are available on many of their units. I would absolutely encourage you to order that if you can, if it's available in the style that you want. Your regular sort of items are going to be available with those anti-spread pins, such as those items that are seen. What I was saying was the anti-spread pin will be seen in their PMLP model, which is a bit larger than the 207. They have it in the PLP 111, 211 models, and they're listed there. They're called pin latch protectors. The LP207, it's just simply not offered. If you can get an anti-spread pin, what happens is this. And there are manufacturers who have one. There are manufacturers who have two. Danjo just has one. I think that's adequate, but I've never tried to spread a door open like that. You're going to drill a hole in the face of the frame. So back to our right-hand reverse. Pin hanging off here or here, depending on the hand of the door, right? Door is going to close. Hole in the face of the frame, the pin is going to go inside and reside in there. So if I try to put a wonder bar between the door and the frame and try to spread, or if I try any sort of other attack to spread the frame so that the latch bolt is now disengaged and I can just push the door open, that anti-spread pin is meant to be there to help prevent against that. So that link to the product brochure is really handy. You can look at all of the other items available from Danjo. Finally, speaking of all other items from Danjo, there is a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can I'm looking at the word prevent, where you can review not only all the Danjo products that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. Again, you know the name Danjo for latch protectors and door reinforcing plates. Also, you'll notice that there are several other subsections of their catalog. Dive into other things that Danjo does. They're a good company, meaning they're a good company. What I mean by that is they have a relatively petite footprint in the marketplace, but they're backed by people who are just good, responsive people, independent. They want to help. They do occasionally make mistakes, and they, without exception, make those mistakes good. They stock a lot of material. A lot of it's made in the United States. They're proud of what they do, and you can pick the phone up and call them and probably get the person answering the phone who's going to solve the problem. If you have any questions on the Danjo LP-207-EBF-BP or any other Danjo product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you very much.